So, good afternoon, everyone. Hello. Yes, I'm good. Thank you very much. Hope you are doing well. So, guys, today we are in our last topic of economics, the name of which is business cycle. It's a very short chapter, and therefore it will not take much of time. It will be completed by today itself. Okay. What you all need to do is pay attention like the previous classes so that you are able to learn everything in the class itself. Okay? Yes, sir. Yes. Okay. So, having said that, let's start with the meaning. Okay? My dear friends, before I start teaching this chapter, let me start with a story. Yes, let me start with a story. Let's start with a story. Okay? So please listen to this story because this story is completely related to this chapter. Okay? Once you listen to this story carefully, you will know what I am talking about. Okay? So my dear friends, please pay attention. Okay? My dear friends, please pay attention. Friends, I'm taking you to USA. The period is 1920s. Okay? The period is 1920s in USA. Okay? So the good thing in USA that is happening is the businesses are flourishing here. The industries are doing pretty well. You know, the businesses are flourishing quite a lot. Industries are in the flourish mode. They are doing good. They are doing good. Industries flourish. And guys, what happens? Okay, yes. And what happens is that since the industries are flourishing here, so everybody is getting jobs. Obviously, you know that when industries flourish, everybody has jobs or people are getting jobs. You know what is happening to the level of income of the people in 1920s. You know the level of income is rising. Everything is going jolly jolly great. Okay, jobs are on the rise. You know, income level is on the rise. You know, so pretty much everything is going good. Everything is going good. Everything. But here comes a major trend. Here comes a major change. Here comes a major change. Here comes a major change. Please pay attention, everyone. Okay, please listen to me very carefully. Okay. So friends, what happens is that there is a lot of job and there is a lot of income opportunities with the people. And so everybody has money to invest. Everybody has got what? Everybody has got, friends, money to invest. Guys, are you with me till here? Is this much clear till here? All right. Guys, is this much clear till here? Come on, everyone. Yes. So friends, this is the period of 1920s that we are talking about, which we are referring to. Okay. So the jobs are doing well. The level of income is high. People have money to invest and everything is going jilly jolly. We are talking about USA in the period of 1920s. We are talking about USA in the period of 1920s. Okay. Yes. So in USA, people are having jobs, the businesses are flourishing, everything is going good, and that's why this period is called the period of roaring 20s. The period of roaring 20s. Roaring means because it's doing extremely well, because the economy is doing pretty well. Okay? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. So the economy is doing pretty well. Everything is going good. What happens is that there are two types of people here. Now since everyone has money, please pay attention. Everyone has money. Now there are two types of people with this money. Number one, who are investing this in the stock markets. Who are investing this in the stock markets because they have good knowledge of stock markets. Because they have good knowledge of stock markets. Let's come to the other side of people. Picture. On the other side is people who are not investing in stock markets. They are putting their money into the bank. Now guys, you all tell me, if the people who are investing have good knowledge of the stock market, Now guys, you all tell me, if the people who are investing have good knowledge of the stock market, now the people who are investing have good knowledge of the stock market, what will happen? If the people who are having good knowledge of the stock market, the people who are investing are having good knowledge of the stock market, you all tell me what will happen. Obviously they are earning. Why? Because all the companies are doing well. Why? Because all the companies are doing good. All the companies are doing good. All the companies are doing good. Yes or no? Yes, sir. Now these people who have put their money into the bank, they have become jealous. Now they also want to earn from stock market. So without having any knowledge of stock market, what they are doing is they are also putting their money into the stock market like these people. Like these people. So the people who were not investing have also started investing. Now guys, you all tell me. Suppose this is a remote, okay? This is a remote. Let's say the cost of this remote is 2000 rupees. Now if the cost of this remote is 2000 rupees and many of you are wanting this remote, but there is only one such remote, what will happen? The price of remote will rise. We have studied that when there is excess demand, price rises. Exactly, that's what happened. Now the companies whose shares were limited in number, what happened was, you see, company shares were limited in number, so the share prices started rising. And if I tell you, it got so much, the share price increased so much, that you will be surprised to know that a share of 100 rupees, I am just intentionally telling in terms of rupees, that a share of rupees 100 was being sold at rupees 10,000. Just imagine. Why? Because demand was greater than supply. For the shares. But guys, you all tell me, just because the businesses were flourishing in the 1920s, does it at all mean that it will keep happening in the forever future? If the businesses are doing well in the 1920s, does it mean that the businesses are going to do too well in the forever future? What do you think, guys? No, sir. Someday the growth will slow down. Yes or no, everyone? Someday the growth will slow down. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? And now, guys, what happened was people started realizing that they had become fools. Why? Because for a 10,000 rupees, for a 100 rupee share, they had given 10,000 rupees. For a 100 rupee share, they had given 10,000 rupees. Now, guys, do you think that this 10,000 can be, can be a price you can charge forever? No. Now the shares became 80 rupees or 70 rupees worth. So people started making losses. And USA was struck with a crisis, with a huge crisis. That's what is called the global depression. The global depression, as you call it now, the depression of 1920s. This is the global depression of 1920s. Why? Because the countries are interrelated. Like, for example, USA was helping Germany, let's say. USA was selling products to, let's say, some other country, let's say British. Now each country is related to one another. So this depression was not seen in one country, it was spread throughout the globe. Yes, that's my point. Sir, what do you mean with this story? Why did you tell us this story? I wanted to tell you something. That we had seen that how the businesses in USA in the 1920s were first doing great. But beyond the 1920s, the businesses almost fall to their bottom. But look at US now, it has again recovered. But soon during COVID, we saw it falling again. Soon it recovered after the COVID. What I'm trying to tell you is, like in India and in many countries of the world, or rather all the countries of the world, each of the businesses experience of fluctuations in the level of economic activity. Businesses experience fluctuations in the level of economic activity. Businesses experience fluctuations in the level of economic activity. Such fluctuations in the level of economic activity is called as business cycle. Is called as business cycle. So what is business cycle? The constant fluctuation in the business activity. Sometimes your business will do good in the country, sometimes it won't do as great. That constant fluctuation is called a period of business cycle. I'll give you an example. Like, see, you went here, you reach your peak, you fall down, you get up again, you fall down, you get up again. This constant growth and downward movement is referred to as business cycle. This constant growth and downward movement is constantly referred to as business cycle. This constant growth and downward movement is constantly referred to as business cycle. So here is the time and here is the growth rate. So you see, sometimes businesses are doing well, they reach their topmost, they hit the bottom. It's with everything. It's with everything. It's with, it's surprising to say this, but the same is true for our, the life we live. Sometimes we grow, sometimes we reach our maximum, we hit bottom, but again we get back up and we do better even than before. So that's the process of businesses as well. And this constant fluctuation, upturns and downturns, this constant upturns and downturns are called as business cycle. My dear friends, this phase where you are growing is called the phase of expansion. Here businesses are growing, employment levels are rising. Here you reach your topmost, that's called the peak. That's called the peak. But again you fall down, that's called contraction. That's called contraction. When you hit the rock bottom, it's called the trough. It's called the trough. But again you start your expansion. So this is now called recovery as well as expansion. Both the words are true here then. And this process continues. My dear friends, this is what business cycle means. This is what business cycle means. Is it crystal clear? So what is business cycle? The constant or the recurring fluctuations. The constant or the recurring fluctuations in the level of economic activity. Constant or recurring fluctuations in the level of economic activities, in the level of economic activities is called business cycle. Is it crystal clear? Come on guys, in the chat everyone, I'm waiting for your response everyone. Fatafat. Yes sir. It seems everybody is clear with whatever we have discussed till now. Okay, great. So now friends, having said all this, all right, very good. Our friend Ekta is asking, sir, what is trend? Ekta, any pattern is called a trend. Like for example, Ekta, see this is constantly rising, that's a trend. It's constantly falling, that's a trend. It's constantly rising, that's a trend. Okay, Ekta. All right. So my dear friends, constant fluctuations in the level of economic activity is referred to as business cycle. Okay. So lovely friends, before we discuss the features of business cycle, there are two more important things you need to know. Okay. So sir, once more in Hindi, one of our friends is requesting. Okay sir, once more in Hindi I will discuss. Okay. देखिए बिजनेसेस इकोनॉमी के अंदर बढ़ेंगे, बेहतर करेंगे. जैसे आप देखिए कोविड के पहले बिजनेसेस बहुत बेहतर कर रहे थे, बट कोविड के टाइम बिजनेसेस ने अपना बॉटम हिट किया. ग्रेजुअली फिर बिजनेसेस बढ़ने लगी जो लोग जमीन पर गिर चुके थे. तो ये फेज का मतलब है एक समय, फेज का मतलब है एक समय, एक पड़ाव जिधर पे कुछ हो रहा है. तो ये चार तरीके के पड़ाव होते हैं जिसे हम लोग कहते हैं एक्सपेंशन, पीक, कॉन्ट्रैक्शन एंड ट्रफ. क्लियर है माय डियर फ्रेंड्स? यस सर. सो देयर आर 4 phases of business cycle. There are 4 phases of business cycle. Please pay attention everyone. Okay, 4 phases of business cycle. Okay, 4 phases of business cycle. Okay, let's go ahead here. Let's talk about 4 phases of the business cycle. Okay, yes sir. Let's go. Okay, phase is a time period. Phase refers to एक पड़ाव, एक समय. Okay, so now moving on. 4 phases of business cycle. Next, pay attention here, my dear friends. Number 1 is the expansion. I'll talk about each phase. Okay, I'll talk about each phase in brief. Don't worry. Expansion phase. Acha, expansion is also called boom or upswing. Here the economy is growing. I'll talk about each one of them. Don't worry. Expansion is called boom or upswing. Okay, peak or boom or prosperity phase. Sir, boom is written both ways. Yes, anything good is called a boom, but you can refer to the word as peak or prosperity. Okay, when you hit the topmost. Next, contraction. It's also called downswing or recession. It's also called downswing or recession. It's also called downswing or recession. But let's say this phase continues for too long, like it happened in the time of COVID. Then you hit a phase called depression. Depression is also called trough. It is the rock bottom basically. Depression or trough. Depression or trough. Depression or trough. Now I will talk about each one of them. I'll talk about each one of them. Let's talk about each one of them. Okay. So pay attention. Number 1, expansion or upswing. Let's talk about each one of them. Expansion bracket upswing. You know, it is that phase of business cycle where the business is growing. Businesses are growing. Growing business. You know, you find here is that growing business. Business is growing. What else do we find here? In addition to the business growing, my dear friends, here you find one more thing. What one more thing, sir, do we find? That in addition to the businesses growing, the level of employment is growing. People are getting jobs. Income is rising. You know, in the economy, output is also rising. There is a reduction in poverty. Taking place. That's the phase where, you know, things are going good, jolly jolly. You know, that's the phase. This jolly jolly phase is what we refer to as expansion. You see, this jolly jolly phase where everything is going good, fine, fantastic. That's the expansion phase or the upswing as we call it. Okay, sir. So, sir, expansion or upswing we have understood. Expansion or upswing we have understood. But then we talk about peak slash prosperity. Peak slash prosperity. You know, it is a phase where you reach your maximum. It's a phase where you reach your maximum. Divya, it means everything is going good. Okay, pay attention. Peak or prosperity. It's a time period where the business has achieved its maximum potential. Maximum output level reached. You know, now you cannot grow further. I mean, there is no scope of growing any further. Maximum output level reached. Here full potential has been achieved. Okay, here full potential has been achieved. Now economy cannot grow beyond this as of now. Beyond this, it's not possible to grow beyond this level as of now, as of that time. It may grow later on. It doesn't mean that it will never grow more than that forever. I am talking about that moment. And then finally, my dear friends, the economy faces a very bad time, which is called the depression, not the depression, rather the recession phase. Here opposite happens of expansion. You know, output reduces, unemployment rises, level of investment in the economy goes down, people have started saving money. Guys, imagine na, in the times of COVID, in the time of COVID, you all remember, in the times of COVID, you all remember what we did? We used to save our money. You know, the money that we used to spend, the more we used to spend, at least we did not spend that much during COVID. You remember? You all saw that a lot of businesses reduced their output, even closed down. Lot of people became unemployed. Do you remember it, guys? During the COVID, when COVID was at its peak, you know, let's say around the 2020-21 period. Yes, that's recession. Yes, that's recession we are talking about. And then finally, my dear friends, after the recession phase is when you have hit your rock bottom. That's called the trough or the depression. It's basically a period of prolonged recession. Prolonged means, you know, lasting normal than usual, lasting longer than normal. Prolonged recession. It lasted longer than usual, you know. Lot of businesses closed down. Lot of businesses closed down. Lot of businesses closed down during this phase, guys. It's an extremely hard phase. It's an extremely hard situation. It's an extremely difficult moment. Very bad times. So that's trough or depression. That's trough or depression as we call it. That's trough or depression as we call it. Is it so, sir? Yes, that is so, friends. Is it so, sir? Yes, that is so, friends. This is what is happening. This is what is happening here. Okay. So in contraction, that is recession or contraction, the output levels are falling. The people are reducing their jobs. People are reducing their jobs. Unemployment level is rising. Output is falling. Income levels are falling. Investment is falling, and people have started to save rather than to avoid, rather to spend money. And trough is the prolonged phase of recession. That is when the economy has hit its rock bottom. A lot of businesses have closed down during this phase. That's the period of trough or depression. That's the period of trough or depression. Okay, that's the period of trough or depression. You know, it's the, you know, when I told you about the story of Great Depression today, it's this story that I told you. USA reached this level. Just imagine, USA reached this level, and almost our own country, India, the businesses in India almost struck this level in 1991. If not exactly, almost, I would say, not exactly, but almost. India was also in a, you know, deep trouble. Okay, so there it is, guys. Have you understood the 4 phases of business cycle? Because if you have, then you know, we will move on to the indicators. We will move on to the indicators. Come on, everyone. All right, all right. Yes, yes, yes. Contraction and recession are same. Contraction and recession are same. And yes, one more question that I got was, sir, what is the meaning of trend? Trend means, my dear friends, as I told you, any pattern. Like if you are rising, 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 that's a trend. Falling, 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 that's a trend. Okay. So any pattern that you notice is a trend. Any pattern that you notice is a trend. Okay. All right, sir. All right, sir. All right, sir. Now moving on. Economic indicators. Economic indicators. Economic indicators. My dear friends, let's say there is going to be a rain. Okay. Let's say there is going to be a rain. So does the rain, you know, normally whenever there is going to be a rain, it doesn't start, you know, it doesn't start automatically. Acha, most of you are asking, sir, what does recovery mean? Array, my dear friends, after hitting the rock bottom, economy comes back to the expansion phase. This is the recovery phase. After you come back from hitting the rock bottom, that's the recovery phase. Okay, got it? Expansion and recovery are the same. now, like after COVID business started to recover, you know, after COVID businesses started to recover, you know, people started their business and all. So that's the idea. So trend can be anything, you know, it need not be recovery only. Trend can be going down consistently or going up. Both are trends. Okay, yes sir. Now let's talk about economic indicators. Let's talk about economic indicators. You see, I was talking about clouds. Okay, whenever there is rain, you know, before rain you will almost every time see a cloud, or if not clouds, at least you will notice there is a high amount of humidity, you know, a lot of discomfort you are facing. Yes, indicators are similar to this clouds or this humidity. You know, they indicators are basically simply meaning indicators. What do indicators do? They indicate the fluctuations in the economy. They indicate the economic fluctuations. They indicate the economic fluctuations. What do the indicators do? They indicate the economic fluctuations. They indicate the economic fluctuations. Sir, I'll give you an example. Let's say the national income of the country you are calculating and you find it that it is rising year by year. Let's say national income of the country is rising year by year. India is now in the expansion phase. The Indian businesses, most of the businesses are in expansion phase. So see, national income when rising, what does it mean? That the situation in the country right now is expansionary phase. But let's say the unemployment in the country is constantly rising. If let's say this is happening, then what does it indicate? It somehow indicates that the country is soon to or is already in the situation of recession. Are you understanding it or not, guys? Come on everybody, yes, no. So what does indicator do? They indicate the situation of economy, that is which phase the economy is in, which cycle the economy is going through. That's what an indicator does. That's what an indicator does. They indicate the fluctuations. They indicate the fluctuations in the economy. They indicate the fluctuations in the economy. They indicate the fluctuations in the economy. Oh, so we got it, sir. So what do indicators do basically? They indicate the fluctuations in the economy. What do indicators do? They indicate the fluctuation in the economy. Okay, sir, we got it, sir. Now, my dear friends, there are three types of indicators that we need to talk about. Okay, three types of economic indicators. Three types of economic indicators that you need to know about. Yes, sir, please tell us. Please tell us, sir. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. So the three types of economic indicators are: number 1, leading indicators; number 2, lagging indicators; and number 3, coincident or concurrent indicators. Coincident or concurrent indicators. Coincident or concurrent indicators. Let's talk about each one of them one by one. All right. First, I'll explain in brief all the three. First, I'll explain it in very brief. Okay. See, so in Hindi, once again, I'll explain the meaning of economic indicators. Economic indicators का मतलब होता है दोस्तों, वो वेरिएबल्स या वो फैक्टर्स जो आपको दिखाएं कि इकोनॉमी में क्या चलने लग रहा है, क्या इकोनॉमी एक्सपेंशन एक्सपीरियंस कर रहा है, क्या इकोनॉमी रिकवरी एक्सपीरियंस कर रहा है, क्या इकोनॉमी अपने पीक पर है. ये सारी बातें जो चीजों को देखकर हमें पता लगता है उसे हम लोग इंडिकेटर कहते हैं. अब जैसे मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल दूं, जब आपने कोविड का टाइम पे थे तब आपको याद होगा डॉक्टर्स ने कहा था कि अगर आपको स्मेल नहीं आ रहा है, अगर आपको लेट्स से आपका टेम्परेचर, आपका बॉडी टेम्परेचर बार बार बढ़ते चला जा रहा है, जब आप ऐसी कुछ चीजों को नोटिस करते हो तब कहीं ना कहीं एक डाउट पैदा होता है कि आपको कोविड है। तो कोविड का क्या इंडिकेटर था? सिम्टम्स बोलते हैं अपने इसको, राइट, मेडिकल टर्म्स में सिम्टम्स। तो सिम्टम्स क्या क्या था कोविड का? कि भाई बुखार हो जाएगा, राइट, सर्दी हो जाएगी आपको, या फिर लेट्स से कुछ इस तरह का होगा, टेस्ट नहीं आएगा खाने का, राइट। इसे इंडिकेटर्स कहते हैं। Similarly, my dear friends, what I told here to our friends was that indicators basically means the symptoms. Like for example, if you all, in the COVID times we have seen that if we have COVID, the general indicators was, the general symptoms was, we will, we will not be able to have any taste of food. Okay, our sense of smell will be a little, you know, on the downside. We will be experiencing a lot of body temperature. So what I'm trying to talk about is all these were indicative that you have COVID. To the contrary, same way, when you look at the economic factors that indicate a particular situation in the economy, right? When you look at the economic factors which indicate something in the economy, like national income, right, like the savings level of the people, you get an idea which phase the economy is in. And yes, that's what we call as economic indicator. Okay, so my dear friends, that's what we call as economic indicator. Having said this, let's pay attention. Number one, leading indicators. My dear friends, it is that economic factor that changes before the economy starts to follow a trend. Economic factor that changes before the economy follows a particular trend. Before the economy follows a particular trend. So there is no change in the economy yet. They change even before the economy. They change even before the economy. Leading indicators are the ones that change even before economy. Sir, can you give us an example? Yes, I'll give you an example. Like for example, stock price. Let's say, for example, I'll give you an example. Okay, let me give you an example. Okay, like for example, stock prices. Suppose economy, nothing has happened. In economy, nothing has happened, but suddenly you see that the price of a lot of stocks in general, are falling. It means that people are selling their stock, and if people are selling their stock, it means they want money, and if people are wanting to hold money, somehow indicates that economy is about to be in a recession or a depression. Correct? But let's look at the other sense. Suppose price rises. Of stock prices in general, it means people are buying stock. It means if people are buying stock, it means people are investing money. If people are investing money, it means people have got good income, and if people have good income or their incomes are more, it simply indicates that economy is experiencing the expansion or the peak phase. Guys, are you trying to understand? Economy has not started showing any trend, but there are certain things that have changed which are somehow indicating the trend of the economy. Like for example, just before COVID, just before the businesses shut down, you would have seen that certain stock prices were becoming very low. Prices became very low just before COVID. This was somehow going to indicate that the economy is going to experience a downswing. See, it happened before. Stock prices changed before the economy could predict or rather comment on anything. Yes, my dear friends, that's what we are talking about. Guys, is it clear? Yes or no? Yes or no, everyone? Come on, friends. Is it clear till this much? The leading indicators. Yes, yes sir, yes sir. लीडिंग इंडिकेटर, टू एक्सप्लेन इट इन हिंदी, लीडिंग इंडिकेटर का अर्थ है वो चीजें जिनमें बदलाव, इकोनॉमी में कोई बदलाव आने के पहले ही आ जाए, जो इस बात का संकेत दे कि इकोनॉमी में कोई बदलाव आने वाला है। इसका अर्थ मैं आपको बताऊं, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल आप लोग ये देखिए कि इकोनॉमी में स्टॉक प्राइसेस का घटना इस बात का लक्षण है कि लोग शेयर बेचने लगे। लोग शेयर क्यों बेचने लगे? मतलब लोगों को हाथ में पैसा चाहिए, लोग हाथ में पैसा रखना चाह रहे हैं, इसका अर्थ है इकोनॉमी की व्यवस्था बहुत बढ़िया नहीं है। इसे हम लोग कहते हैं लीडिंग इंडिकेटर्स। दोस्तों इसे हम लोग कहते हैं लीडिंग इंडिकेटर। इज इट क्लियर एवरीवन? यस 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 यस। So that's what a leading indicator is. That's what a leading indicator is. You know, the ones that change before the economy starts to showcase any change. The one that starts to change even before the economy starts to showcase any change. Okay, that's the leading indicator. Okay, yes. Then, friends, we will talk about now lagging indicator. Now, friends, what we are talking about is a lagging indicator. Sir, what is a lagging indicator? Lagging indicator, lagging indicator, my dear friends, lagging indicator basically means those changes which happen after the economy has shown the change. Means changes, factors changing after change in economy. So after there has been a change in economy, then there is a change in some factors. That's what we study under the head lagging indicator. That's what we study under the head lagging indicator. I'll give you an example. Now suppose this is a stock, this is the company, and this is the employee. Okay, so people have started stock selling. It means that the prices of this stocks of this company is going to fall. Now this company and in general the other businesses are in deep trouble because maybe of some reason like COVID. Now they will fire employees, you know, like this people had to do. They will have to fire employees. I'll give you an example. You know, there were this some brands, I think it was Ola and so many other brands, you know, they had to fire employees. Yes, Ola cabs, then I think Oyo rooms, they had to fire their employees. What I'm trying to tell you here, that because they are having to fire their employees is indicative of the fact that economy was not in a good situation. So see, economy is not in a good situation, we know from before, and that's why people are being fired. You see, when COVID came, guys, you all tell me, you all saw the fall in economy. Didn't you predict that now people are going to be fired? Yes sir, we had predicted. That's a lagging indicator. You see, stock prices changed before, and that's why it's a leading indicator, even before the economy showed any signs. Now the fact that economy has showed signs, people are getting fired. That has happened later on. 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 Okay, sir. And that's why, my dear friends, here lies the concept of lagging indicator. And that's why, my dear friends, here lies the concept of lagging indicator. So, my dear friends, leading indicator change before the changes in the economic scenario. Lagging indicators change after the change in economic scenario. Is it crystal clear, mates? Come on, everyone. Is it crystal clear, mates? Come on, everyone. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Come on. Come on, guys. Yes, sir. Yes, 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 yes. No, Divya. Lagging means that something changing later on. After the economy has showed signs of change, then there are some changes taking place, like people getting fired. So people getting fired is a lagging indicator. Why? Because we knew that it's going to happen before only. Yes, that's a lagging indicator, my dear friend. Yes, correct. So lagging indicator. But my dear friends, like leading comes before, lagging comes after the economic change. But there are some indicators which are called coincident indicators. What? There are certain indicators called coincident indicators. These are the indicators that change with economy. Factors that vary, factors that change exactly with economy, that change with economy, that change with economy. You know, they are not earlier than economic change, they are not later than economic change, they are with the economic change. Factors that change with economy. Sir, example like the GDP, the national income. GDP is basically the national income. The inflation, all these items, you know, you will know more about GDP. You will know more about GDP in your intermediate level, that is the IPCC level as we call it, after you have cleared your foundations. So that will come under macroeconomics, okay? But now what I'm trying to tell you here is that, you know, like the change in GDP or the change in inflation, what is happening? It's changing with the economic fluctuations. It's changing with the economic fluctuations. Since they are changing with the economic fluctuations, like the national income, the country's inflation, the production of the economy, the production of the businesses, all these are happening simultaneously with the scenario in the economy. You know, it's not before or after the economic change. And that's what we call as the coincident together, coincident indicator. Coincident indicator means saath saath. In Hindi, saath saath means together. That change together with the economic change. You know, it's not earlier or not later than the economic fluctuation. I hope guys it's crystal clear till here. Come on mates everyone. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Fatafat yaar. Yes. So to summarize, there are three indicators that we have studied. Leading indicators are the factors that change even before any economic fluctuation has occurred. That is, even before economy has shown any signs of fluctuation, leading indicators have started changing. Lagging indicators are the ones which show any sign of change only after the economy has started changing. So they are lagging, they are delaying. And coincident are the ones that are simultaneous, that are going together with the changes in economy, with the changes in economy, with the changes in economy. My dear friends, what say? Is it clear till here? Yes, no, everyone. Yes, no, everyone. Yes or no, everyone. Come on, guys. Yes, fantastic. Fantastic. So now, my dear friends, having said all this, my dear friends, having said all this, let's pay attention and let's move forward. Let's pay attention and let's move forward a little bit. My dear friends, a very important topic indeed is the features of business cycle. Very important. A lot of questions, you know, I am predicting will come from here. Very, very important. Obviously, this entire thing is important, you know, but features of business cycle is too important. It's the, you know, soul of this chapter. Features of business cycle. So pay attention, everybody. Pay attention, everybody. Pay attention, everybody. Don't ask any questions now. Features of, okay? Okay, now pay attention. Otherwise, you will not understand this. If you are not understanding this, there is a trouble. So, features of business cycle. Pay attention, everyone. Okay. Number one, they occur periodically. They occur periodically. They occur periodically. Though interval not fixed. Sir, what does it mean? Though interval not fixed. That is not regular. That is, they are not regular. Sir, what do you mean, sir? Sir, what do you mean, sir? I'll tell you guys. I'll tell you what I mean. Please pay attention. I'll tell you what I mean. Okay, I'll tell you what I mean. See, pay attention, friends. Huh? Pay attention. See, they occur periodically, though interval not fixed. What I'm trying to say here, I'll tell you guys. See, yes, see. Suppose every 5 years or almost every 4 to 5 years, we see that economy once starts facing the situation of depression. Let's say, just for example, depression. So, yes, it is known that they will come periodically. It's not that economy will always be in expansion or always in depression. There is no economy in the world which has permanently been in the same phase. Obviously not possible. But yes, it can happen that the economy once comes into depression. Some economy may revive in 1 year, some may revive in 10 years, some may revive in 50 years. Like you see, after the, this attack on the after the Second World War, I mean during the Second World War, by USA on Japan, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Japan took about 5 to 6 years or maybe 10 years to recover from that phase. So yes, it varies from country to country, and that is what is written, that every country will face all the cycles, but the time period for which each phase will last is not known. कुछ इकोनॉमीज के लिए एक्सपेंशन ज्यादा लंबे समय तक चलेगा, कुछ के लिए रिकवरी में समय लगेगा, कुछ के लिए डिप्रेशन ज्यादा चलेगा. कहने का अर्थ ये है कि होंगे सारी चीजें, ये बात पक्का है, कितने समय के लिए होंगे ये बात नहीं मालूम. My dear friends, is the first characteristic absolutely clear? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no, everyone? Okay. Correct. Number 2. Length of each phase is different. Length of each phase is different. Like it will not happen is different. Like it will not happen that suppose the expansion phase was for 10 years, so the contraction phase will also be for 10 years. No, 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 no. There is no such rule. It's distinct. So expansion may be for 10 years, maybe contraction is for 5 months only, maybe for 1 year only. Like you see now in the recent case of Ukraine and Russia, the war that's ongoing. So Ukraine is in a severe crisis now. Ukraine is in a severe crisis now. But do you think that 5 years or 10 years from now Ukraine will not recover? Obviously it will recover. I mean, there is no second thoughts about it. That's what we are studying here. Length of each phase is different. Length of each phase is different. Okay? Yes. But yes, all the phases will be there. Okay, sir. So number 2 is done. My dear friends, let's talk about number 3. Number 3. Okay? Pay attention, everyone. Let's talk about number 3. Pay attention, guys. Pay attention, everyone. What it's trying to say is they originate in free market. They originate in free market. Sir, what does it mean that they originate in free market? See, what I'm trying to say is any impact on one sector will impact another sector also. I'll give you an example. Will impact another sector. Let's say for example, the GST rate on transportation services have been raised. Okay? Or let's say nowadays, guys, the shipping costs. If you want to ship product from one country to another, the shipping fares have been raised. Now suppose you are in the business of minerals. So the cost for you will rise. If you could transport minerals, the people who are using these minerals to manufacture powder, for them also the cost will rise. That's what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say, my dear friends, simply is that anything happening in one sector can impact the other sectors as well. Each sectors are interrelated. Each sector is interrelated. Each sector is interrelated. Effect on one sector is definitely going to influence the other sector. Effect on one sector is definitely going to influence the other sector as well. Always, always, and yes, always. My dear friends, is it crystal clear till here? Yes or no? Yes or no? Come on, guys. Okay, yes. Now, my dear friends, the fourth point is, yes, when the economy is in a poor situation, when the economy is in a poor phase. Poor phase basically means the depression or the recession phase. Yes, it's correct. Yes, it's correct that all businesses are impacted. Yes, it's correct that all businesses are impacted. Absolutely correct. There is no second question about it. All businesses are impacted. But yes, now I'll tell you one more secret. All businesses are impacted, but the impact is disproportionate. The impact is disproportionate. The impact is disproportionate. Meaning what? Meaning that, like for example, I'll tell you, suppose there is this big industry who had to invest, let's say, 100 crores in buying different new machines for their business. Okay. And a lot of employees, let's say 1,000 employees. There is this one industry, okay, one business, and then there is this another business, you know one business, there is another business who is into consulting. Okay. They have one employee who is working as a secretary, and 2 to 3 laptops for the purpose of interns. Okay. Now you all tell me, won't both the businesses be affected? Yes. If the economy is in the bad phase, obviously both the businesses are going to be impacted. Who said they will not be impacted? But you'll answer me one simple question. Who is going to bear the most pain? Who is going to bear the most pain? Come on, everyone. Is the pain borne by both be same, or one of them will bear more pain? Obviously, the first one will be more adversely affected because they have more money into the risk. Rather than the other one. The other one also has some business and some money into the risk, but not as much as the previous one. And that's what I'm trying to say, guys. Is it crystal clear, friends? Yes or no? Yes or no, guys? Come on, everyone. Come on, guys. Yes, sir, it's crystal clear. Correct. So they will bear more because they have invested more, they have more money into the game, and so they are in a greater risk. Always. Number 5, prediction is very difficult. Very complex to understand. The impact of business cycles are very complex to understand. It's very complex to understand. It's very tough to understand. What business cycle will put an impact on one, or how it will change things. It's not to be measured clearly. The third point was they originate in free market. That is, impact of on one sector, one business sector will impact other business sector also. Like for example, if you are in transportation, if the transportation cost rises, suppose you transport minerals, the cost of minerals will rise, and therefore the cost of making powder from that mineral will also rise. And the fifth point is prediction is very difficult because business cycles occur because of very complex phenomena. So like you cannot say that because of this will happen. There is no reasonable certainty. Okay. So what was point number 4? Point number 4 was economy is in a poor phase. So all the businesses will be impacted in a different way. मतलब point number 4 का, जब एक इकोनॉमी का खराब सिचुएशन आएगा तो सारे बिजनेसेस के लिए खराब होगा, बट कुछ बिजनेसेस के लिए ज्यादा खराब होगा. किन के लिए? जिन्होंने ज्यादा पैसे लगा रखे हैं. अब आप देखो ना, 2 बिजनेसेस हैं, एक ने 100 करोड़ लगा रखा है, 1000 इंप्लॉइज है, और एक ने बस कुछ 1-2 करोड़ लगा रखा है और 2 से 3 इंप्लॉइज है. तो ऑब्वियसली पहले वाला बिजनेस को ज्यादा जोर से हर्ट करेगा ना. ये पॉइंट है यहाँ पे. Fifth point is prediction is very difficult, very complex to understand, meaning that you can never actually judge the economy before the thing has happened. the impact of COVID, all of us were studying this will happen, that will happen, but the exact impact none of us could predict. So many online services grew during COVID. They started doing good business. Phenomenon means a concept. Very complex phenomena means very complex concepts. It's very difficult to predict what is going to happen. Guys, is this fifth point crystal clear? Yes or no, everyone? Fifth point also in Hindi I will say. It means कि बिजनेस साइकिल में, इकोनॉमी में फ्लक्चुएशन आने से पहले आप नहीं बता सकते कि क्या इंपैक्ट होगा जब तक वो इंपैक्ट एक्चुअली में नहीं आ जाए. सिंपली मीनिंग प्रेडिक्शन करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है कि इस वजह से क्या होगा, उस वजह से क्या होगा. हाँ, गेसवर्क कर सकते हैं, 8-10 चीजें हो सकती है, बट एग्जैक्टली क्या होगा प्रेडिक्ट करना इम्पॉसिबल है. यही यहां पर लिखा हुआ है फिफ्थ पॉइंट. माय डियर फ्रेंड्स, इज इट क्रिस्टल क्लियर? यस और नो? Yes. Point number 6. What does point number 6 say? My dear friends, point number 6 tells us that due to business cycles, economic fluctuations take place. Yes or no? And because of this economic fluctuations, मतलब इकोनॉमी में बदलाव होने की वजह से, due to this fluctuations in the economy, due to this fluctuations on the economy, due to this fluctuations in the economy, there was change in the level of output in the economy, investment in the economy, the level of employment in the economy. You see, during this COVID time, we have seen the online service production has increased, the physical activities have reduced, the investment in online businesses have increased, investment in brick and mortar system means the physical shops have reduced. So what I'm trying to indicate here is that due to business cycle, a lot of economic fluctuations take place. Due to business cycles, a lot of economic fluctuations take place. Due to business cycles, a lot of economic fluctuations take place. That's point number 6, everyone. That's point number 6, everyone. Point number 7, business cycles are contagious. They are like COVID. Business cycles are like COVID. COVID was also contagious. What does contagious means? That it can spread from one country to another. It is not restricted to a single country. One country to another. Contagious means something that can spread throughout the world. And that's what it's saying. Business cycles are contagious. They can spread throughout the world. They can spread throughout the world. They are contagious, meaning they can spread throughout the world. You see, I'll give you an example. Like, for example, in America's case, 1920s, or forget about America now only. Due to this Russia's attack on Ukraine, you see, do you think that the impact is only felt by Russia and Ukraine? No. You see Germany, who had this pipeline, from Russia to Germany, Nord, it is called the Nord gas pipeline. It's called the Nord gas pipeline. Germany has stopped this. So now Germany has to pay more price to buy oil and natural gas. In the same way, Russia had to bear a lot of impact. Similarly, India had to pay a little more for the oil. That's what I'm trying to say. That they are international in character, meaning that impact on one country. Like here, the attack was only on Ukraine and only by Russia. So it should have been restricted to this too. But any change in the economy, since today's world is a global world, basically meaning that the relations are global in character, meaning each country is related to another country. It's not like if something has happened to me, it won't impact you in any way possible. It's definitely going to impact you. So you thinking that it's not going to impact you, you are making a fool out of yourself. Guys, is it crystal clear? Yes, no, friends. Yes, no, friends. Come on, guys. Come on, everyone. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. And yes, we will practice a lot of MCQs after we have studied, this chapter completely. Okay. After completing, we will do the MCQs. Don't worry. Moving on, moving on, moving on. The eighth point. The eighth point. Yes, business cycles affect the society. Business cycle affects the society. Business cycle has impact on the society. You see, during COVID times, we had to stay at home. Our well-being and everything was affected. Yes, so everything was affected for us. So that's what they are saying, that business cycles have an impact on the society, which have long-term consequences. Which have long-term consequences. My dear friends, these were the features of business cycles. These were the features of business cycles. I hope it's crystal clear, friends. It's crystal clear, friends. I hope. Come on, guys. Is it crystal clear? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, everyone. Come on, guys. Yes, Devesh, it can come. You are correct, Devesh. Correct. Moving on, friends. Moving on. Having said all this and having discussed all this, now, friends, we are talking about the causes of business cycle. कि ये business cycles किस वजह से होती हैं? Like, why do they arise? Business cycle क्यों होती है? Once more, sir. आइए now. Causes of business cycles. It's the last important topic, and then we will do MCQs. Causes of business cycles. Very easy, very easy. You see, our institute's book is very good, very, very well designed. So you all must read it thoroughly. And this is my advice for all the levels. Now you are in foundation, you will be in inter, you will be in final. So every level, institute's book is superb. Arshdeep, repercussions means impact. Repercussions means impact. Okay. So now pay attention. Causes of business cycles. So friends, if we talk about causes of business cycles, we divide it into two phases. There are internal causes. Internal means the ones that are restricted mainly within our country. That are restricted mainly to reasons within our country. Maybe outside also, but generally within our country. External are the ones which have repercussions which are caused because of other countries' interference. Foreign interference. All right, sir. Correct. Got it, sir. So, my dear friends, if you have understood this much, please pay attention now. Let's talk about the internal and external causes in a bit more detail. So, pay attention, guys. Internal, number one, fluctuation in demand. Yes, fluctuation in demand. Ineffective demand, that is actual demand. You see, there may be a change in actual demand. There might be a change in actual demand. I'll give you an example. Fluctuation in effective demands. Example I will give you. Yes. Let me tell you. Suppose that now that people have become environmentally conscious, now they are preferring, like for example, studying. They are preferring tablets, mobile phones or laptops compared to wasting a lot of papers. Isn't it, friends? Yes. And internals are somehow controllable, not always controllable. Same with external. Sometimes controllable, sometimes non-controllable. So don't learn it like that. Okay? Pay attention, everyone. So number one is fluctuation in demand. When the demand for that particular product or the nature of product changes within your country. Okay? Next. Similarly, like guys, you can say, for example, people become health conscious. So you will see that the cold drink businesses in the country will go down. At the same time, the yoga and the gym business, the personal trainer business will go up. This is going to happen in the Indian economy, I'm sure. Fluctuation in effective demand. So point number one. Number two, fluctuation in investment levels. Fluctuation in investment levels. What does it mean, sir? Fluctuation in investment levels. My dear friends, the amount of money people have to invest, the amount of money people are investing within the country is also very important. You know, you may decide that you are earning money, you keep it in your bank account and you relax. At the same time, the number of people who are taking that money out of the bank account and investing in some business, that is also to be seen, that how much risk averse people are. Are they willing to take risk or not? That is also going to determine the direction of the economy or the direction of the business cycle. The fluctuation in the investment level, guys. Moving on to point number three. Variations in government spending. Variations in government spending. Variations in government spending. What does it mean, sir? Variations in government spending. Variations in government spending means, is your country's government spending on infrastructure development and etc. reasons? Suppose government is not spending on infrastructure, then no new person will want to do business in your country. So the level of economic activity will be low. Your economy might face recession or depression. But if your government is spending on the infrastructure, first of all, people will get employment. Second of all, due to better infrastructure, people from outside countries and within your countries will want to do business in your country. So the level of employment will again shoot up. That's what we are trying to study here. The variations in the government spending also influence the business cycle. Next is the macroeconomic policies of the government. Macroeconomic policies of the government. What does it mean? Macroeconomic policies means, like for example, the taxes, the subsidies that the government is going to provide. Now I say, if government is imposing a lot of taxes, people will be able to spend less. Why? Because their purchasing power is reducing. Why? Because government is taking tax. If government is taking tax, the purchasing power of the people is falling. And if purchasing power of the people is falling, how can you expect them to spend? So the economy will go down. Understood? अगर economy में government बहुत सारी taxes लगा रहा है, so what will happen? If government is imposing a lot of taxes, what will happen? What will happen if government is imposing a lot of taxes? If government is imposing a lot of taxes, the earnings of the people will fall down. It's not the earning, actually the purchasing power that is going down. Acha sir, got it sir. Sir, we have got it sir. So there it is. The macroeconomic policies refers to the taxes and subsidies imposed by the government. Correct? That's the macroeconomic policies that we are talking about. Okay, sir. Next, money supply. Very important point. Now, my dear friends, you know that government through the RBI controls the money supply in the economy. So if let's say RBI supplies more money into the economy, what will happen? There will be cash in the hands of people. Now friends, if there is cash in the hands of people, now my dear friends, if there is cash in the hands of people, if there is money in the hands of people, they will be willing to spend more. And so the level of economic activity will go up. Maybe economy will experience expansion. But let's say if the government through RBI decides to reduce the money supply in the economy, then the cash in the hands of people will go down, and so they will increase their savings. As they have less cash, so the economic activity will go down and the economy may be in a situation to experience recession, because people will purchase less. Understood? So my dear friends, I will explain once more. I will revise once more. Please pay attention. Each one of them I will revise one more. Please pay attention. Okay? Okay? Yes, sir. Go ahead. So internal are the ones, my dear friends, the factors that influence things happening within our country. External are the ones are the factors which involve foreign interference. Factors involving foreign interference. So my dear friends, in internal, point number one was fluctuation in effective demand. Just because there is a fluctuation in demand, so the level of economic activity is changing. So if demand rises, expansion; if demand falls, contraction. If there is investment, that is, investment rises, expansion; investment falls, contraction. Variation in government spending: if government increases spending, expansion; decreases, contraction. Macroeconomic policy, like if government imposes taxes, purchasing power falls, so contraction. Money supply, if government increases money supply, expansion; reduces money supply, contraction of the economy. Because the more money people will have, they will be able to spend, na, they will be able to invest, na, they will be able to put in as expenditure, na. That's the logic here. Online friends, yes or no? Come on guys, come on everyone. And then there are some psychological factors also, like just what people think, just what people think. This is another factor. Just because people think something, they take an action which might not be entirely true. That's a psychological factor. That's a psychological factor. That's a psychological factor. Come on guys, everyone, is it crystal clear? What say? Psychological factor means just what you believe. Psychological factor means just what you believe. So suppose economy is in a good state, but many are thinking that economy is in a bad state. Psychological factors I am explaining. I will explain both in English and Hindi. Suppose economy is in a good state, but you all are thinking that it's in a bad state. You all start saving money. So people will lose their job. Now economy will go into a bad state. So your psychology has brought the economy down. Let me reverse the entire discussion. Suppose the economy is not in a very great phase, but you are willing to invest in the economy, thinking that no, everything is good. So in reality, everybody will spend, and therefore economy will come out of the trouble. So sometimes it is the psychological factor also. Psychological factor का मतलब होता है कि आप क्या सोच रहे हो. जैसे आप सोच रहे होते हो, काफी बार इकोनॉमी को आप वैसे अफेक्ट कर देते हो. मान लो इकोनॉमी में सब अच्छा चल रहा है, पर आप सोच रहे हो नहीं 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 खराब चल रहा है, तो आप पैसे बचाने लग जाते हो. अब पैसे आप बचाने लग गए तो सब बचाने लग गए. इससे जो इकोनॉमी अच्छा चल रहा था अब वो खराब हो जाएगा, क्योंकि लोग पैसा इन्वेस्ट करना बंद कर देंगे इकोनॉमी के दरमियान. अच्छा, is that so, sir? Yes, my dear friends, that is so. Yes, my dear friends, that is so. So, my dear friends, these were some of the internal causes. I hope it's crystal clear. Okay. Moving on to some external causes. Okay. External causes, everyone. Pay attention here. Number one is war. It's very basic, like the Russia-Ukraine. Now the China-Taiwan is also up for the scene. So all this war that we are talking about is basically talking about the foreign interference. Ukraine, in Ukraine's boundary, Russia has entered, which has impacted both Russia and Ukraine and the global economy as well. So see, there is some external involvement here. Now there are post-war reconstruction, like Japan had to do in this 1942 period. Post-war reconstruction. Okay. Sometimes, my dear friends, there is a technology shock. What is technology shock? When the products in your country are not purchased from you, but are rather purchased from the foreign competition. Why? Because they bring in a new technology. I'll give you an example. Like in our, in our own country, back in the times when there was typewriter, there were two main companies which were operating typewriter. One was Brothers and the other was Wellington. Now both were competing against one another, and then came personal computer and both were disrupted. That's what we are talking about. That's a technology shock. When a better technology comes in and uproots the entire business. Jio, the technology that Jio has brought into the market has uprooted most of the telecom companies, isn't it, guys? Has uprooted most of the internet service providers, isn't it, guys? What do you think? Yes, sir, it's indeed correct. Yes, sir, it's correct. Now my lovely friends, there is another thing. After we have discussed this technological shock thing, then there are certain natural factors, like this COVID and similarly other scenarios taking place that is played by the nature. Will like the 2015 Nepal earthquake, the impact of that Nepal earthquake, it was not the fault of Nepal, but the impact, my dear friend, is still perceived by the people of Nepal till today. 2015 Nepal earthquake. And then population growth. Sir, population growth, why is it in under external factor? My dear friends, because there is a lot of migration taking place. So as a result of migration, the population might increase or decrease. And what kind of population is coming into your country? What kind of population is coming into your country is a bigger question. Like, is it the educated people coming into the country? Or is it the uneducated masses? What kind of people are coming into your country? That is the question. If it's the educated masses, it will grow like USA. You see a lot of people educated, Sundar Pichai, and then there was this Satya Nadella, Indra Nooyi, and so many other people, who went to US and did fantastic for USA. That's what we are talking about. But if you have refugees coming into your country, from here and there, then obviously, guys, the quality of your population is declining. As a result, your chances of attracting the situation of depression is more. That's what we are talking about. So guys, this was some of the internal and external factors. I hope it's crystal clear, everyone. Come on, guys. Come on, everyone. Is it crystal clear? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, everyone. Okay. And sir, why is business cycle relevant to decision making? Why is this relevant to businesses? Relevant to businesses. Relevance of business cycle to business decision making. Relevant to business decision making. That's what I'm explaining now. Relevance to business decision making. That's what I'm explaining right now. Sir, please do. Sir, please do. We are ready to listen to the explanation. Okay, friends. So here I go. Relevance to the business decision making. Relevance to the business decision making. Business cycles, relevance to the business decision making. I'll tell you guys. See, number one, suppose you are planning to expand your business. Now, should you expand your business, or you should close down some branches? All of this depends on the nature of business cycle. If suppose the business country is in expansionary phase, so you may choose to expand. But if something is wrong, then you must close down some of the branches. This can only happen when you have the knowledge of business cycle. So yes, it's very relevant to the decision making, guys. Similarly, what kind of business should you be doing? It also depends on what the business cycle tells you. Like now the business cycle is telling that your business should be mostly online, because you see the physical shops are closing down, the online ones are rising. So yes, it gives you an idea of starting something online. That's what I'm saying. See, we cannot say that all the assumptions under business cycles are always correct, but a little knowledge can help in good planning. So the other importance is planning the way ahead. It's the very useful part of business decision making, which can be done once you have a good knowledge of business cycles dominating during that time, that phase of the economy, during that situation of the economy. My dear friends, is it crystal clear? Yes or no, guys? Come on, everyone. Okay. Now guys, I'll talk about some economists. Some economists. Okay. So I am talking about some economists. Please note it down with me. Please note it down with me. Some famous economists have said some points. What economists say? Please pay attention. Point A. There was this economist whose name was Keynes, John Maynard Keynes, who gave the concept of macroeconomics. He tells that any fluctuation in economic activities, that is, whatever is happening in your economy, any fluctuation in economic activity is due to aggregate demand. As I told you, he was the founder of macroeconomics. That's why the aggregate word is used to indicate macroeconomics. So he was telling that due to the total demand in the country, the economic activities are affected. One of our friends are asking, like Bhumika, what are cyclical businesses? Bhumika, cyclical businesses are the ones which constantly undergo a lot of changes, like the way you do advertising, like the restaurant business, like the retailer business, like the fashion business, clothing, that undergo constant changes. That's cyclical in nature. Okay. So according to Keynes, fluctuation in economic activities is due to aggregate demand. Point number A. Then there is this another economist whose name is Hawtrey. According to Hawtrey, the money supply, the money that RBI is circulating in the economy, money supply affects trade cycles or affects business cycles. That is how much money people are having in their hands. So, like Keynes talked about aggregate demand, Hawtrey got a step back. He said that this demand is because of the money in the hands of people that is influenced by the money supply. So he has directly spoken about money supply. So according to Hawtrey, trade cycles are purely a monetary phenomenon. That is, they are influenced by the amount of money circulating in the economy. So Hawtrey has got into even more detail than John Maynard Keynes. Hawtrey had gone into further details, even more than John Maynard Keynes. So there is this point B. Next, point number C. Let's talk about point number C. So Pigo talks about business cycles. Being affected. Pigo talks about business cycles being affected by people's psychology. I talked about psychology now. The idea was put forward by Pigo. He said that there are two kinds of people. The optimistic ones who are always positive that everything good will happen, and pessimistic ones who are always negative, that is everything bad will happen. So this optimism and pessimism is what we are talking about. This optimism and pessimism. So he's talking about the expectations leading to business cycles. Just because people are thinking prices are going to rise, they are buying more, and that's why price is rising. So it's not that price was going to rise, it's because the people thought that price is going to rise, they started demanding the shares, because of which excess demand took place and the prices rose. So what Pigo is telling is that any economic fluctuation is mostly because of the psychology of the people. It can be optimistic or it can be pessimistic. So this was Pigo. So till now, three economists we have studied. Keynes, who talked about aggregate demand. Keynes spoke about aggregate demand. Hawtrey talked about money supply. Pigo talked about psychology of optimism and pessimism. And finally, there is another economist who gave the innovation theory. His name is Schumpeter. I believe it was Joseph Schumpeter. Okay, Joseph Schumpeter. He gave the idea that it is because of the innovations in the systems from time to time. Innovations, that is new developments taking place from time to time, that result in business cycle. So as per each one of them, there is a unique cause of business cycle. So let's say if somebody asks about, let's revise it first. Let's say somebody talks about Keynes. So your answer should be, according to Keynes, the cause is aggregate demand. According to Hotray, the cause is mainly money supply. According to, let's talk about Pigo. According to Pigo, it's the psychology, that is psychology of optimism or pessimism, that affects the business cycle as per Pigo. And finally, moving on to Scumpeter, as per our dear friend Scumpeter, as per him, it's the constant innovations into the market taking place that are responsible for the business cycle. It's the constant innovations that are responsible for the business cycles. My dear friends, is this much clear? Yes or no? And then there is one theory I will explain you, which is called the Cobweb Theory. So there is another theory called the Cobweb Theory. So let me talk about the Cobweb Theory. What does the Cobweb Theory say? It's very simple. Actually, Cobweb Theory was first made for farm products, first for agricultural products, first. Now it's talked about in general. Now it's not only talking about agricultural products, but it was made for a farm product. What does it say? As per this theory, if there is a price fluctuations of products in the market, it can lead to fluctuation in the supply of commodities. How many goods are supplied? Fluctuation in supply takes place because of fluctuation in price. Fluctuation in supply because of fluctuation in price, and because of which, and now when fluctuation in supply takes place, it will further affect the price again. Price fluctuation again. So basically, price fluctuation is both the cause and effect here. That is, trade cycle is happening because of the change in prices, and because of the trade cycle, the consequence is that again prices are changing, because there will be situation of excess demand or excess supply due to this cycles taking place. That's what the Cobweb Theory talks about. That's what the Cobweb Theory talks about. Cobweb is COBWEB. COBWEB. Cobweb Theory. It's simply change in price will change the supply, and the change in supply will lead to further change in price. Full stop. My dear friends, if this much is clear, now my plan is to discuss. Now my plan is to discuss with you people MCQ. Are you all ready? Are you all ready? Yes or no, friends? Are you all ready? Yes or no, friends? Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Yes, sir, we have got it, sir. So now the fact that you have understood this, let's start our MCQ discussion immediately. Let's start our MCQ discussion immediately. All right then. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. Let's go. What is it talking about? The term business cycle refers to what? The term business cycle refers to what? It's asking, the term business cycle refers to what? So let's see the options. The ups and downs in the production, not necessarily. It can be, but there are more to it. Fluctuation level of economic activity, correct. Fluctuation level of, because you see economic activity is a very wide term, so it's always correct to define it that way. Economic activity is a very wide term, so always define it in the widest term. Yes, it's not that A is wrong, but B is better. Okay, a significant decline in activity extending over a period of time, it's the contraction phase. Now most of you will say that sir, contraction and recession are the same, but when there is a competition as such, you will always use the word contraction as your answer because it's the better word. But yes, they are used interchangeably. So don't be confused. Sir, you told that both are same, B and C, correct. But look at the word, the phase word, over a period of time, and that's why we are using this contraction phase. Okay. Trough, that is the lowest point, occurs when dash hits its lowest point. Inflation in the economy hits its lowest point? No. Inflation is high. Inflation is rather high. Money supply. Money supply when hit its lowest point? No. Yes. Aggregate economic activity. Everything hits its lowest point. Almost all the aggregate economic activity is a very broad term. And that's why, you prefer it to any other, small term in general. Okay. Yes, sir, we got it. The lowest point in the business cycle is referred to as the trough. Obviously, there is no question about it. Like if you have listened to this, you know this. Trough, and it's also called as depression. But trough is a better word, I guess, but you will always remember that. Let's say, leading variable is a variable that tends to move along. No, that's coincident. A variable that tends to move in advance. Yes, that's leading. That's leading. Correct. Variable that changes in advance is leading. Correct. Absolutely correct. That move later. Oh, it's late. So a lagging variable. It's a lagging variable. Next. Industries that are very sensitive, where the investment is maximum. Service, not much. So not service. Again, not much. Non-durable goods means perishable goods like vegetables. Not much investment, but yes. Capital goods and durable goods sector, maximum investment. Remember, the ones with maximum investment into their products are the ones which will be extremely sensitive. So therefore, the answer to this question suffices 7D. Suffices 7D. That is 7D. Alright? Because the maximum investment we see is seen here itself here. Is seen itself here. Okay. Okay. 8. What would happen if the government decreases spending? Obviously, if the government spending decreases, what will happen? If the government spending decreases, the demand will fall, so demand will shift to the left. You have studied that whenever there is a fall in demand, it will be a leftward movement, never rightward. Rightward is when it rises. Please remember. And sir, why not down and up? Down and up is only because of own price of the commodity affecting demand. Here it is some other factor like government spending. Since it's another factor, we have studied in our chapter demand. Something happening because of other factor will only, be treated that way. Okay. Which of the following does not occur during an expansion? Which one of the following does not occur during an expansion? Consumer purchase all type of goods or of all types of goods tend to increase. Yes, it occurs. Employment increases. Yes, it occurs. Business and here tend to increase. Correct. So the answer will be none of this because they were asking which one of them doesn't occur. So everything occurs, Re Baba. There is nothing of this which doesn't occur, and therefore, the answer has been stated accordingly. My lovely friends, moving on. Number 10. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. Which of the following describes best a typical trade cycle? Which of the following best describes a typical business cycle? Which of the following best describes a typical business cycle? A typical business cycle. A typical business cycle is when expansions are followed by contractions, something like this. So that's there. Okay, correct. Acha, one of our friends has asked me a question. One of our friends has asked me a question that, sir, what is the meaning of stagflation? What is the meaning of stagflation? Situation, stagflation is a very difficult situation where the economy has high inflation, but at the same time high unemployment level as well. High inflation and high unemployment, that's stagflation. Okay, but here it's not written, not required. Okay, one of our friends is asking what is the meant by durable. My dear friend, durable means one which lasts for a longer time, like the furniture, the machinery maybe, which lasts for a longer time, which require more investment. Okay, moving on. Number 11, during recession, okay, so bad thing happening. The unemployment rate will rise and output will fall. So rises, falls. The first one is the answer. First think and then look at the option. Okay, moving on. Next question is pretty easy, yaar. Number 12, the 4 phases of business cycle: expansion, peak, contraction, trough. Ekdam thik, absolutely correct. So 12A is absolutely correct. There is no need of telling that this is not the answer. It's absolutely correct. Okay. What is best described a typical business cycle? Yes, when there is expansion and then there is contraction. Expansion and contraction. Here it is expansion, which is followed by contraction. So what better definition? Okay, moving on. What does leading indicator use for? Forecast probable shifts in economic policies. Okay, let's see. Generally used to forecast fluctuations. Yes, they are happening before, so they will forecast. They will happen before, so they will obviously forecast. Correct? They are happening before, so they will always obviously be used to forecast. I mean, there is no second question here. There is no second question here. Let's see the next one. When aggregate economic activity is declining, economy is in contraction, declining, contraction. Simple. Next, peaks and troughs. Okay, so highest point and the lowest points, okay, are known as the turning points. The correct word, you see, at peak you will go down, at trough you will go back up. So you see the word turning points is not wrong here in this context. In this context, it's not wrong. Next, the most probable outcome of an increase in money supply is. The most probable outcome of an increase in money supply is. So see, if money supply is increasing, what will happen? Interest rate rises. Just think, guys, if everybody is holding money, interest rate to rise, the probable outcome of increase in money supply is, let's pay attention, okay? Interest rates to rise, investment spending to rise, and aggregate demand to rise. Okay, let's see the other options. Outcome of increase in money supply. Okay, B, interest rate to rise. So let's say the government has increased money supply. Okay. The probable outcome of money supply we have to find out. See, yes, very good question. Outcome of money supply. Now suppose the government has increased money supply a lot. Now the government needs to reduce it because too much money supply is not good. So what will government do? They will want to reduce the money supply. To reduce money supply, interest rates will have to be what? Will have to be, interest rates have to fall. At the same time, this will cause, investment spending to rise and aggregate demand to rise. Because see, everybody is holding money. So in general, the interest rate will happen what? Fall. Now since everybody is having money, investment spending and aggregate demand is going to rise. That's correct. Which of the following? Because you see, interest rates are falling because because everybody is willing to spend money. Nobody is wanting higher rate of interest. Which of the following is not a characteristic of business cycle? Okay, so they're asking not a characteristic. Serious consequences, yes. The last point that we studied from our material. Business cycle occurs periodically, yes, although they do not exhibit the same regularity. I believe it was point number 1 or 2. Business cycles have uniform, wrong. They have ununiform characteristics. You can never, predict them with certainty. So 17 answer will be C. Next, let's move on to 18. Economic recession shares all of these characteristics except, yes, fall in level of investment, employment, etc. Correct. Income of wages gradually decline. Correct. Investor confidence is affected. Correct. Increase in due to increased demand for inputs. Wrong. People are investing less. Arey Baba, if investment in the economy is falling, then what will happen to the demand for inputs? Obviously, the demand for inputs in the economy is going to fall. How are you predicting it to be rising? Absolutely wrong. Next, moving on. The different phases of business cycle, yes, do not have the same length and severity. In the first or the second point of the characteristics we have studied, which of the following is not an example of coincident indicator? Not an example for coincident indicator. New orders for plant and economic equipment. It's rather a leading indicator. A leading indicator. According to that, due to innovations, yes, Joseph Schumpeter gave the innovation theory. See, we discussed this today. Economic, indicators are a one-stroke solution. No, indicators showing the movement. Okay, some activities which predict the direction of the economy. Correct. It's correct. Some activities which predict the direction of the economy. Absolutely correct. Next, which economic indicator predict the turning point of it's required to predict the turning point of business cycle? Arey Baba, to predict the turning point, in turning point you will need all. You see, most of students write leading indicator, but it's wrong, na? They are talking about turning point. So even when you are in the falling stage, if you notice the leading, lagging, and coincident indicator, you will be able to find where the rock bottom is going to be. It is talking about the identification of the peak and trough. So for identifying peak and trough, all the indicators are equally useful. For identifying economic fluctuations in advance, then the answer would be leading indicator. But here the question is turning point, not the economic fluctuation in general. Okay, next point. Business cycle originate in free market. What is a free market economy? Yes, very easy question, where private firm owns major assets. We studied in the, the lower levels also, and in this class also, capitalist, socialist, and mixed economy. Even as a matter of fact, in my first class, we have done this. When we did our first class in the economics, area. Which of the following statement is correct? Let's see. Business cycle is largely affected by agriculture, affects small employees. Correct. Generally affects all sectors, but business sector in particular. Correct. It affects all, but business sector in particular. Everyone is affected. It's not that one is affected. Keynes. Now see, Keynes talked about aggregate demand. So it's 26A. Not even seeing further. We have discussed Keynes. Which of the following is the cause of business cycle? Aggregate demand, investment, government spending. Yes, all of those. In fact, this was pointed out by Keynes himself. Okay. So my dear friends, these are some of the points, and this brings us to the end of our MCQs as well. We have discussed all of them. So my dear friends, this brings us to the end of our journey of business economics. So my dear friends, I hope you all do wonder in your examinations. Please remember to do wonderful in your business economics part in your examination. I will give you only one guideline. I will give one guideline, and that one guideline is, because it's very important. Please remember that one guideline is read the institute's material properly, word by word, line by line. If you forget anything, the lectures are already given to you by the institute. If you all do this, there is no problem. You will easily score out of 100, easily above 70 you can score in economics, easily. So that's it, my dear friends. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you very much. Tata. Bye bye. Okay, bye bye everyone. Thank you.